Ladies and gentlemen, you see, when a woman refuses to let go, when she holds on to her faith through the storm, the heartbreak, the silence, God notices. Oh, he notices. He doesn't just pat her on the back and say, "Good job." No. He begins to build her, mold her, refine her. He doesn't remove the fire. He walks her through it. Why? Because what comes out of that fire is gold. And to that woman, God gives resilience, not the kind you pick up from motivational quotes or fancy books. No, I'm talking about the kind of resilience that's earned through midnight tears, through prayers where all you can say is, "God, please," and he answers, not with a thunderclap, but with strength you didn't know you had. He gives her faith, and not just the kind you speak on Sundays, the kind you live on Tuesdays when nothing makes sense. Faith that says, even if he doesn't come through the way I want, I know he's still good. That's mountain moving faith. That's unshakable. He gives her purpose. You think your pain is pointless. Oh no. See, God doesn't waste pain. That woman, she starts to realize that every tear, every betrayal, every setback, it's shaping her for something bigger. Something higher. She stops asking, "Why me?" and starts declaring, "Use me." He gives her grace, not permission to be weak, but permission to not be perfect. And in that grace, she finds peace. She learns that she's not carrying her destiny alone. That even when she's crawling, grace carries her forward, and that's holy ground. And then comes favor. And let me tell you something about favor. Favor ain't fair. It'll show up when people counted you out. It'll promote you without a resume. It'll heal what should have stayed broken. That woman, God begins to open doors for her that no man can shut, not because she earned it, but because she endured. So if you're that woman, or if you're on the edge of becoming her, don't you dare let go. Hold on, cry if you must, rest if you must, but don't let go, because on the other side of that grip is a gift with your name on it. You're not just surviving, you're becoming, and God, He's not finished with you yet. When life applies pressure, when the heat turns up, and everything feels like it's breaking apart, that's when resilience is born, but not just any resilience, the kind that's refined by fire. You see, anyone can claim to be strong when the sun is shining, when the bank account looks good, when relationships are flowing smoothly, but real resilience, it's not revealed in peace, it's revealed in pressure. It's not formed on the mountaintop, it's forged in the valley. When a woman refuses to let go, when she makes a decision deep in her soul that she will not quit, she's not just surviving, she's transforming. Every disappointment, every betrayal, every setback is not breaking her, it's building her. She doesn't always see it in the moment. Sometimes all she feels is the heat, the rejection burns, the silence stings. The weight of waiting grows heavier by the day, but in that fire, something sacred is happening. God isn't watching from a distance. He's right there, shaping her through the flames, because fire doesn't just destroy, it reveals. It strips away what's not essential. It burns off the parts of us that were never meant to stay. That woman, the one who keeps holding on when everything in her wants to let go, she's learning to stand in the middle of the fire without losing who she is. Her character is being defined. Her voice, once shaken by fear, grows steadier. Her spirit, once broken by life, becomes unbreakable, not because it can't be bent, but because she's already been bent and got back up. People see her strength and think she was born with it. What they don't see are the nights she cried herself to sleep, the days she showed up when she had every reason not to. They don't see the prayers whispered behind closed doors, the internal battles fought without applause or recognition. She walks with dignity now, but that dignity was earned in the dark, in the silence, in the moments nobody else noticed. Resilience refined by fire doesn't look like loud declarations or big performances. It's quiet, it's subtle, it's the choice to speak life when life has spoken death. It's the decision to get out of bed and try again, even when yesterday was filled with failure. It's holding on to God when He seems silent, trusting that his silence is not absence. The fire teaches her who she is, not the version the world told her to be, but the woman she was created to be. She learns that her worth isn't in the validation of others, but in the fact that she was fearfully and wonderfully made. She learns that weakness doesn't disqualify her, it qualifies her for grace, that the cracks in her armor are where God's light gets in. And though the process hurts, though the fire rages and the refining feels relentless, there comes a moment, a quiet, holy moment, when she realizes she's not the same, she's wiser, she's stronger, not in spite of the fire, but because of it. She looks in the mirror and doesn't just see a survivor. She sees a warrior, one who didn't just make it through, but came out better. People around her may not understand the glow she carries now. It's not arrogance. It's not pride. It's the radiance of someone who's been through the fire and didn't come out smelling like smoke. It's the presence of someone who knows what it's like to lose everything but still believe. Someone who faced loss, pain, and silence, but never let go of hope, and hope, that's the oxygen of resilience. That woman breathes hope like air. She wakes up with it in her lungs, even when her reality looks the same, because the fire taught her not to wait for things to change before she believes. It taught her to believe so fiercely that things have no choice but to change. She doesn't fear the fire anymore. She respects it. She knows it can hurt, but she also knows it can heal. It's not her enemy. It's her classroom. It's where she met her real self. It's where she learned that breaking isn't the end, it's the beginning of becoming. Becoming someone who bends but doesn't snap, who cries but still stands, who doubts but still prays. This kind of resilience, refined, tested, purified. It can't be taught in books. It's lived. It's breathed. It's fought for, and the woman who carries it may not always look the strongest on the outside, but inside. Inside she's unshakable, because the fire didn't consume her. It crowned her. Faith that moves mountains doesn't begin as something loud. It begins quietly, like a whisper in the soul that refuses to die, even when everything around it screams impossible. It's not the kind of faith that always feels confident or polished. In fact, it's usually born in moments of fear, uncertainty, and deep struggle. It's the kind of faith that exists not because circumstances are good, but in spite of them. The woman who possesses this kind of faith didn't get it from comfort. She earned it in the wilderness, in the long waiting rooms of life, in the places where answers don't come easily and hope feels like a gamble. This faith isn't flashy. It doesn't demand attention. It's steady. It's rooted. It's been through storms and decided not to run. She knows what it's like to pray and not hear anything back. She sent prayers into the silence and kept on believing even when the heavens stayed quiet. That kind of faith doesn't come from hearing yes all the time. It comes from hearing no, or hearing nothing at all, and still trusting that God is working, still trusting that there's something beyond what she can see. It's the decision to believe that the mountain in front of her is not permanent, that God can move it, or give her the strength to climb it. Faith like this is stubborn. It doesn't let go when things get hard. It clings tighter. It presses in when everything says to pull away. It's not afraid of the dark, because it's learned that darkness is not the absence of God. It's the proving ground for his power. This woman has seen too much to quit now. She remembers the moments she thought she wouldn't make it, but did. She remembers the times when it didn't make sense, but somehow she survived. That memory fuels her belief. That evidence of past miracles gives her the courage to expect more. She's not naive. She's been let down. She's faced disappointment. But she's also seen what happens when faith is all you have left. And she's watched God do what only he can do, make a way where there was none. Open doors no man could shut, heal what was supposed to stay broken. She's learned that mountains don't always move the way you expect. Sometimes they don't disappear overnight. Sometimes they shift little by little, and you don't realize they've moved until you look back and see how far you've come. This woman's faith is not fragile. It's been tested in fire. She's wrestled with doubt, not denied it. But in that wrestling, she's come out stronger. She's learned that faith isn't about having all the answers. It's about trusting the one who does. It's about waking up and choosing to believe again, even after failure. Even after heartbreak, even after dreams have died, her faith has muscle now. It has scars. It's not untouched, but it's undefeated. People may not see the mountain, moving faith in her at first glance. They might mistake her quiet strength for passivity, but let them watch her when life gets tough. Let them see how she prays, not just when things are good, but when they're falling apart. Let them hear the way she speaks life over situations that look dead. That's where the power is, in her voice, in her walk, in her persistence. She's learned that faith isn't a feeling. It's a fight to believe when everything says give up. A fight to keep her eyes on the promise, not the problem. A fight to trust that delay is not denial, and what's for her cannot be taken. She's not living by what she sees. She's living by what she knows to be true, even if it hasn't shown up yet. There were moments she almost let go. Times she questioned if the mountain would ever move, but she didn't stop believing. She held on. She dug deep. And in that holding, that pressing, she discovered something powerful. That sometimes the real miracle is not that the mountain moves, but that she keeps moving toward it. That she doesn't quit. That she keeps climbing. That her faith doesn't flicker out. It catches fire. And with every step, every prayer, every declaration of trust in the face of fear, the mountain loses its power. Because it's no match for a woman who believes, a woman who's decided that faith isn't just something she has, it's who she is. Purpose bigger than pain is a truth that carries a woman through the darkest valleys and the fiercest storms. It's a force that refuses to let her be defined by suffering, by loss, by disappointment. Instead, it lifts her up and sets her eyes on something greater than the moment, greater than the hurt, greater than the struggle. Pain is real, it is heavy, it can feel like a mountain pressing down on her chest, threatening to steal her breath and her hope. But when purpose is bigger than pain, it becomes a light, a steady, unshakable light, that guides her through the chaos and reminds her who she really is. This kind of purpose is not some vague feel-good notion. It's deeply rooted in the knowledge that her life has meaning beyond the moment of hurt. It's a calling, a mission, a destiny that reaches beyond her current situation. Pain can cloud vision, but purpose clears it. It draws her forward when her legs are shaking, when every step feels like a battle, when the world says give up, purpose whispers keep going. When pain screams for attention, purpose demands focus. It pulls her from the ashes of yesterday and plants her feet firmly in the ground of tomorrow. The woman who carries purpose bigger than pain knows that her suffering is not wasted. She understands that the trials she endures are shaping her into the person she is meant to become. She recognizes that pain, while powerful, is temporary. Purpose, however, is eternal. It is the thread that connects her past, present, and future in a way that pain never can. It's the reason she wakes up every morning and chooses to move forward even when her heart is heavy. It's the reason she refuses to be defined by what's been taken from her, and instead chooses to build on what remains. Purpose bigger than pain means seeing beyond the wound and believing in the healing yet to come. It means knowing that the hard seasons are not the end of her story, but a part of it. They are the chapters that teach her resilience, that deepen her compassion, that expand her strength. She doesn't ignore the pain. She feels it, she honors it, but she refuses to be trapped by it. Instead, she lets it fuel her determination to live out the calling that beats within her. This purpose pushes her to rise, even when the weight of her burdens threatens to keep her down. It challenges her to use her experiences, not as scars to hide, but as badges of honor that testify to her journey. Every hurt becomes a lesson, every setback a setup for a greater comeback. The woman with purpose bigger than pain sees herself not as a victim, but as a victor in the making. She understands that her pain has a place, but it doesn't get the final say. It's in this space, where pain meets purpose, that transformation happens. She finds strength she didn't know she had. She discovers resilience that surprises even herself. Her purpose gives her a reason to fight, a reason to keep dreaming, a reason to believe that better days are coming. It's a force that no hardship can extinguish, no disappointment can diminish. When purpose is bigger than pain, the woman becomes a beacon for others. Her story becomes more than her own. It becomes a source of hope and inspiration for those still struggling. She shows the world that pain is not the end of the road, but a bend on the journey. She proves that what looks like a broken life is actually a life being built, refined and strengthened for a greater purpose. Her pain sharpens her vision and deepens her empathy. She learns to walk alongside others who hurt, to offer comfort and encouragement because she knows what it means to hurt and to rise. She becomes a living example that purpose is not found in ease but in endurance, not in comfort but in courage. Purpose bigger than pain teaches her patience when healing is slow, faith when the future is unclear, and courage when fear threatens to take hold. It is the voice in her heart that says, "This is not all there is." It propels her forward when all she wants to do is stay still. It anchors her soul when the storm is raging. It reminds her that she is here for a reason, that her life has value, and that her pain is not her prison, but her proving ground. She embraces the hard truth that growth often comes through discomfort, that the most beautiful blooms grow from the toughest soil, that the purpose she carries is worth every tear, every struggle, every moment of doubt, because purpose bigger than pain transforms suffering into strength, despair into hope, and brokenness into breakthrough. This is why she stands, why she fights, why she refuses to give up, because her purpose is bigger than her pain, and she will not let anything, no matter how hard, steal the calling on her life. Grace that covers gaps is one of the most profound gifts a woman can receive. It is the unseen hand that steadies her when life feels unstable, the gentle strength that fills the spaces where she feels lacking, and the quiet power that holds her together when circumstances threaten to pull her apart. This kind of grace is not something earned or deserved. It is given freely, abundantly, and perfectly timed. It shows up when her own strength runs dry, when her plans fall short, when her efforts don't seem enough. Grace covers the gaps between what she can do and what needs to be done, between her imperfections and her purpose, between her failures and her faith. Every woman faces moments when she feels inadequate, when the weight of responsibility presses down and the gap between who she wants to be and who she is feels overwhelming. She may stumble, miss the mark, or feel the sting of disappointment. But grace steps in, not to excuse failure or encourage complacency, but to meet her in those vulnerable spaces with love and acceptance. It doesn't gloss over her mistakes or pretend they don't matter. Instead, it acknowledges the struggle, offers forgiveness, and empowers her to keep moving forward. Grace is what teaches her that she doesn't have to be perfect to be valuable, that mistakes are not the end of the road, but part of the journey. It reminds her that her worth is not tied to her achievements or her ability to control every outcome. When she feels like she's falling short, grace whispers that she is still enough. It bridges the gap between who she is today and who she is becoming. It fills the empty spaces left by doubt, fear, and insecurity. This covering grace is not passive. It's active and dynamic. It works behind the scenes in her life, weaving strength into her weaknesses and turning setbacks into setups for something greater. It covers the gaps in her understanding when answers are elusive. It fills the voids left by broken relationships or unmet expectations. It offers peace when chaos surrounds her. Grace makes up for what she lacks, not by replacing her efforts, but by multiplying them. It is the divine enablement that empowers her to do more than she ever thought possible. When grace covers gaps, it also allows room for growth. It doesn't trap her in shame or self-condemnation. Instead, it creates a safe space where she can learn, heal, and evolve. It invites her to embrace her imperfections without fear. It reminds her that failure is not fatal, and that every gap is an opportunity for God's power to be made perfect in weakness. This grace protects her from the crushing weight of perfectionism and unrealistic expectations, freeing her to live authentically and courageously. This kind of grace is often most evident in moments when she feels most exposed. When the world demands more than she can give, grace fills in the blanks. When her plans crumble or her timing is off, grace rearranges the pieces for her. When she's overwhelmed by the enormity of her calling or the depth of her pain, grace sustains her. It covers her gaps with mercy, patience, and strength that she could never muster on her own. Grace that covers gaps also transforms how she relates to others. Because she has experienced this unmerited favor, she learns to extend it to those around her. She becomes a woman who forgives quickly, loves deeply, and serves humbly. She understands that everyone has gaps, places where they fall short, areas where they struggle, and so she becomes a bridge for others, offering grace to cover their shortcomings just as hers was covered. This ripple effect of grace brings healing and restoration beyond herself, creating communities built on compassion and understanding. In practical terms, grace might show up as unexpected provision when bills seem impossible to pay. It might come as a peaceful heart amid chaos or the strength to keep going when she's exhausted. It may appear as a second chance when others have written her off, or the wisdom to make the right choice when options seem limited. No matter the form, grace meets her where she is and makes a way forward. Grace that covers gaps is also deeply humbling. It reminds her that she is not in control of everything and that dependence on God is not weakness but wisdom. It breaks down pride and self-reliance, inviting her into a relationship of trust and surrender. Through grace, she learns to rely less on her own understanding and more on the limitless power of God's love and mercy. This grace is a lifeline for every woman who refuses to give up despite imperfections and setbacks. It's the assurance that even when she can't see the whole path, she won't fall through the cracks, that when she feels broken or incomplete, she is still whole in the eyes of God. Grace covers the gaps not to hide her struggles, but to strengthen her through them. It reminds her that her journey is not about being flawless, but about being faithful. Grace invites her to embrace her humanity fully, flaws, and all while walking boldly into the future God has prepared. It is the quiet confidence that says, "You don't have to have it all together to be used." It gives her permission to be real, to be vulnerable, and to keep pressing forward, knowing that every gap in her life is a space where God's power can shine brightest. Favor in unlikely places is one of life's most surprising blessings. It often shows up when she least expects it, in the moments and places where hope seems faint, where doors appear closed, and where the odds feel stacked against her. This kind of favor is not about luck or coincidence. It's a divine hand reaching down to lift her when the world says she should stay down. It's the unexpected grace that turns setbacks into opportunities, the quiet force that opens doors she didn't even know existed, and the gentle nudge that redirects her path towards something better. She may have been walking through seasons of disappointment, feeling overlooked and underestimated. Perhaps she has faced rejection, loss, or failure, wondering if her efforts were all in vain. But favor in unlikely places reminds her that God's timing and ways are not her own. Just because a door shuts doesn't mean the journey ends. It often means a better door is waiting, one she could never have imagined. This favor shows up in the hidden corners of her life, in the moments others dismiss or overlook, proving that her story is far from over. This kind of favor requires faith to recognize and receive. It demands that she keep moving forward, even when the path is unclear. It asks her to trust that the detours and delays are not mistakes, but part of a bigger plan. Favor in unlikely places often defies logic and challenges expectations. It arrives wrapped in mystery, sometimes disguised as difficulty or delay. What looks like a dead end is often the gateway to break through. Favor in unlikely places is also a powerful reminder of her worth and value. When the world doesn't seem to notice her, when her talents and efforts go unrecognized, favor steps in to elevate her. It shifts circumstances, changes opinions, and creates opportunities where none seemed possible. This favor is not about self-promotion or striving harder. It's about resting in the assurance that God sees her and is orchestrating events on her behalf. It is a testament to the fact that her life is significant even when it doesn't look like it. Sometimes favor in unlikely places comes through people, unexpected allies, mentors, or friends who appear at just the right time. Other times it arrives through timing, when everything aligns perfectly in a way that could only be orchestrated by a higher power. It may show up in unexpected resources, new doors opening at a critical moment, or solutions appearing when problems seemed insurmountable. These moments remind her that she is not alone in her journey, that divine favor is working behind the scenes in ways she cannot always see. Favor in unlikely places also teaches humility. It reminds her that success is not solely the result of her efforts, but a partnership between her faith, hard work, and God's blessing. It keeps her grounded, grateful, and aware that the greatest achievements are often accompanied by the quiet hand of grace. This humility allows her to remain open to continued favor and to extend that same grace to others. When favor shows up in the most unlikely places, it challenges her to stay hopeful and expectant, even when circumstances suggest otherwise. It encourages her to keep believing for miracles in the middle of the mundane, for breakthroughs amid setbacks, and for joy in seasons of waiting. This favor is a source of strength, a beacon of hope that shines brightest when all seems dark. Favor in unlikely places does not guarantee an easy life. It does not erase challenges or pain. Instead, it offers assurance that she is not walking her path alone, that there is a divine force working on her behalf. It empowers her to keep going, to keep dreaming, and to keep trusting even when the future is uncertain. This kind of favor transforms her perspective. It shifts her focus from what she lacks to what she has been given. It helps her see opportunities where others see obstacles, potential where others see defeat. Favor in unlikely places inspires resilience, creativity, and boldness. It invites her to step into her calling with confidence, knowing that she is supported by a power greater than any challenge she faces. The woman who experiences favor in unlikely places becomes a testimony of hope. Her story encourages others to believe that no situation is too difficult, no place too small, and no timing too late for God's favor to intervene. She becomes living proof that favor can show up in the least expected moments, changing everything with a touch of divine grace. Favor in unlikely places reminds her that her journey is unique and that every twist and turn has meaning. It assures her that even when she feels invisible or forgotten, she is seen, known, and favored by the one who holds her future. It encourages her to walk boldly, to speak life over her circumstances, and to embrace the unexpected blessings that come from a favor she never saw coming. Ultimately, favor in unlikely places is a powerful reminder that God's plans for her life are greater than her fears, bigger than her struggles, and more beautiful than she could ever imagine. It calls her to trust the process, to remain faithful, and to keep her heart open to the miraculous ways favor can move, even when it comes from the most unlikely places. Influence beyond her circle is a powerful and transformative force that extends far past the immediate boundaries of family, friends, or community. It is the impact that a woman has when her life and actions begin to touch hearts, change minds, and inspire change on a broader scale. This influence doesn't require fame or fortune. It requires authenticity, courage, and a willingness to step beyond comfort zones. It grows when she chooses to live purposefully, speak truthfully, and lead with compassion, reaching beyond the familiar into places and lives she may never have imagined affecting. She might start small, with the people closest to her, but influence beyond her circle demands more. It calls her to be bold enough to share her story, her wisdom, and her strength with those who don't yet know her. It means breaking down walls of fear and doubt that say, "You're not enough," or "Your voice doesn't matter." She understands that every action, no matter how simple, carries the potential to ripple outwards and create change in ways she cannot always predict. Her influence is a living legacy, extending into the future through the lives she touches directly and indirectly. This influence grows from a foundation of authenticity. People are drawn not to perfection, but to realness, the vulnerability of a woman who has faced struggles and yet chooses to rise. Her scars and stories become bridges that connect her to others, making her influence relatable and powerful. When she shows up honestly, sharing not only victories but also challenges, she invites others into a space of trust and connection. This kind of influence doesn't rely on authority or status. It thrives on genuine connection and the courage to be seen as she truly is. Influence beyond her circle also requires vision, the ability to see beyond her immediate surroundings and imagine the possibilities of what could be. It pushes her to think bigger than her current situation, to believe that her actions can affect communities, industries, and even cultures. This vision motivates her to seek opportunities where her voice and leadership can make a difference, whether through mentoring, advocacy, creative expression, or simply living out her values in a way that others can't help but notice. Her influence is often marked by intentionality. She chooses her words and actions with care, knowing that what she puts out into the world matters. She understands the power of her example and the responsibility that comes with it. This woman is not content to be passive or silent. She embraces the role of a catalyst, someone who inspires growth, courage, and change in others. Her influence becomes a beacon, drawing others to a higher standard of living and deeper purpose. With influence beyond her circle, she also learns the importance of resilience. Reaching beyond familiar territory can be met with resistance, criticism, or misunderstanding, yet she remains steadfast. She knows that pushing boundaries and challenging the status quo is not always easy, but it is necessary for real impact. Her resilience in the face of opposition only strengthens her influence, proving to others that perseverance is a key part of leadership and transformation. This influence transcends geographic and social boundaries. It is not limited by race, class, or background. Instead, it is inclusive and expansive, rooted in empathy and a desire to uplift others. She becomes a connector, building bridges between diverse groups and encouraging collaboration and unity. Her influence fosters community beyond her immediate circle and creates a network of support, encouragement, and shared purpose. Influence beyond her circle often involves mentoring and empowering others to step into their own potential. She recognizes that true influence is not about holding power over others, but about lifting them up and helping them find their own voices. She invests time and energy in nurturing the growth of those around her, and even those she may never meet personally. Through her example, teaching, and encouragement, she creates a ripple effect of positive change that extends far beyond her own reach. Her impact may be seen in the way she challenges norms and inspires innovation. She dares to think differently and encourages others to do the same. This influence sparks creativity and progress in various arenas, whether in the workplace, community projects, or social movements. By daring to lead differently, she opens doors for others to follow, setting new standards for what is possible. Sometimes influence beyond her circle manifests quietly. It may be the words she writes, the speeches she gives, or the causes she supports that reach a wider audience through technology, media, or public platforms. Even the small acts of kindness and integrity she demonstrates ripple out through social networks, inspiring others in ways she might never fully know. This kind of influence is powerful because it multiplies, growing exponentially as it moves from person to person. At its core, influence beyond her circle is about legacy. It's about the mark she leaves on the world, not just for herself, but for generations to come. It's the knowledge that her life matters beyond the immediate, that her choices contribute to shaping a better future. This influence is a testament to the power of one woman who refuses to be confined by her circumstances or limited by her environment. Instead, she steps into her calling with confidence, knowing that her impact will echo far beyond the walls she first called home. Her influence encourages others to dream bigger, believe stronger, and live more courageously. It challenges the next generation to rise with purpose and passion, equipped with the knowledge that their voices matter and their actions can transform lives. This influence becomes a force for good, a ripple of hope and empowerment that moves across boundaries and breaks down barriers. Through influence beyond her circle, she discovers that leadership is not about controlling others, but about inspiring and enabling them. It is about service, sacrifice, and the willingness to be vulnerable and authentic. It is about the courage to stand up for what is right, and the humility to listen and learn. This kind of influence creates lasting change because it is built on trust, respect, and a genuine desire to make the world better. As her influence grows, she learns that it is not measured by applause or accolades, but by the lives touched and the hearts changed. It is seen in the quiet transformations that happen when someone feels seen, heard, and valued because of her example. Influence beyond her circle is the invisible thread connecting countless stories of hope, courage, and renewal, a legacy that continues to unfold long after she has moved on. Legacy built on obedience is a foundation stronger than any earthly structure. It is a testament to a life lived not by convenience or personal desire, but by faithful commitment to a higher calling. Obedience is often misunderstood as mere submission or restriction, but in truth, it is the pathway to purpose and the seedbed of a legacy that transcends time. A woman who builds her legacy on obedience understands that her choices today shape the story she leaves behind for future generations. This legacy is not about fame or fortune. It is about faithfulness, integrity, and the courage to follow through on what she knows is right, even when it is difficult. Obedience requires listening, deep listening to the voice of God, to the inner convictions that guide her, and to the wisdom imparted by experience and Scripture. It is not a passive act, but an active pursuit of alignment with divine will. This pursuit often means choosing the narrow path over the wide one, embracing sacrifice, and trusting that the unseen hand guiding her steps is trustworthy. Her legacy begins in these moments of quiet surrender, where she decides to obey not for recognition, but because it is the right thing to do. Building a legacy on obedience also means embracing discipline. It is the daily decisions to act with integrity, to speak truth, and to serve others faithfully, The woman who chooses this path knows that legacy is crafted not in grand gestures alone, but in consistent, sometimes unseen acts of faithfulness. She wakes each day with the intention to live out her calling, even when the results are not immediate or obvious. Through discipline, she models for those who come after her that true legacy is earned through perseverance and steadfastness. Obedience often requires courage, the courage to stand against the tide of cultural pressures, personal doubts, and the temptation to take shortcuts. This courage strengthens her character and deepens her faith. It sets a powerful example for her children, community, and anyone watching her journey. When she obeys even in the face of uncertainty or hardship, she demonstrates that legacy is not about ease, but about faithfulness to a higher standard. Her legacy built on obedience impacts more than just her immediate surroundings. It ripples outward, influencing families, communities, and even generations yet to be born. The choices she makes reverberate beyond her own lifetime, planting seeds of faith and character in those who follow. This legacy becomes a living testimony of the power of obedience, showing others that a life surrendered to divine guidance is a life well lived. Obedience also teaches humility. It reminds her that she is not the ultimate authority over her life, and that surrender is not weakness but strength. This humility allows her to receive correction, to learn, and to grow. It softens pride and fosters a teachable spirit, qualities essential to leaving a legacy that endures. Through obedience, she learns that legacy is not about control, but about trust and partnership with God. The legacy of obedience is not without challenges. It often means walking through seasons of waiting, hardship, and sacrifice. Yet, these trials refine her character and deepen her dependence on God. They teach her patience and perseverance, qualities that strengthen the foundation of her legacy. Each test of obedience is a building block, shaping a story of resilience and faith that inspires others. Her obedience also involves stewardship, faithfully managing the gifts, resources, and opportunities entrusted to her. She understands that legacy is not just about what she accumulates, but about how she uses what she has been given to bless others. This stewardship reflects a heart committed to service and generosity, ensuring that her legacy is one of impact and love. Obedience often means saying no to what is easy or popular in favor of what is right and lasting. It calls her to prioritize eternal values over temporary gains. This choice sometimes isolates her from those who do not understand her convictions, but it also connects her to a deeper community of faith and purpose. Her legacy is marked by this clarity of vision and unwavering commitment. In her obedience, she also cultivates faith that God is faithful, that His promises endure, and that her efforts are not in vain. This faith sustains her through doubts and fears, giving her the strength to keep moving forward even when the path is unclear. It is faith that turns obedience into legacy, knowing that the unseen work done today will bear fruit tomorrow. The legacy built on obedience becomes a source of hope and inspiration for others. It is a story told not just in words, but in lives changed and hearts transformed. It teaches that true greatness is found not in self-glory, but in faithful service and alignment with God's will. This legacy encourages those who come after her to pursue obedience, knowing it leads to a life of purpose and eternal significance. Ultimately, a legacy built on obedience is a reflection of love for God, for others, and for the future. It is a love that chooses faithfulness over convenience, sacrifice over comfort, and purpose over popularity. This love creates a heritage that cannot be taken away, a testimony that endures beyond time, and a beacon that guides those who seek to follow in her footsteps. In every act of obedience, she writes a chapter of her legacy, one that tells of a life lived with intention, courage, and faith. It is a legacy not just remembered, but revered, not just told, but lived. It is the lasting imprint of a woman who chose to obey, and in doing so, built something far greater than herself. When we reflect on the journey of a legacy built on obedience, we see that it is more than just a personal achievement. It is a powerful testament to the transformative power of faith, discipline, and unwavering commitment. This legacy shows us that true greatness is found not in fleeting success, but in the steadfast choice to follow a higher purpose, even when the path is challenging and unclear. It reminds us that every act of obedience, no matter how small, contributes to a lasting impact that reaches far beyond ourselves. In embracing obedience, a woman not only shapes her own story, but also inspires generations to come, proving that a life lived in faithful surrender is a life that truly matters.